There's one thing that no one ever says about Joy Reid, and that one thing is that she is unprepared. When you come on Joy Reid's show, any show that she is the moderator or host of, you better make sure that you have your facts straight, because she damn sure is going to have her facts straight when she starts talking about things. Now, she's going to have what I assume to be a Republican economist, Curtis Ellis. And she is not going to let him get away with trying to sprout bullshit facts. And I don't know what's going on at MSNBC, but Joy Reid and this other host moderator, Stephanie Rule, that's her name, they have not let any of the people that are on their shows, both left or right, get away with pretty much anything. Now, I will say they're a bit more, and maybe more than a bit more, forceful with the conservative GOP right-wing surrogates, but they do get on the progressive left-wing guys as well, but they hammer these right-wing guys. Here's an example of that.
Tomorrow, Donald Trump will give a speech laying out his economic vision for America with a plan that includes one of the biggest tax cuts since Ronald Reagan. Trump's proposal comes just days after he unveiled his new economic advisory team, which, as the Washington Post points out, includes 6 guys named Steve, but no women. And joining me now is someone who helped Donald Trump draft the speech he'll be giving tomorrow, Curtis Ellis, Executive Director of the American Jobs Alliance. Curtis, Mr. Ellis, thank you for being here.
It's a joy.
All right, well, let's first go. Oh, that was very good. There's a few economic numbers that I want to start out by showing you and just getting your response to them. The latest jobs numbers, 255,000 jobs were added last month per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You also have a declining unemployment rate, which is now at 4.9%. You also have this long-term job growth number, and we're going to show you this what they call the bikini graph, that actually shows that private sector job growth has grown considerably since the Bush years. And then, of course, you've got GDP growth, which has actually been very steady and is going up. What do you make of these latest economic numbers?
Well, you look at the numbers and you see we had 1.2% GDP growth in the last quarter. We're averaging about 2% for the year, which is anemic. We have the weakest recovery since 1949. The real unemployment rate, when you count people who've given up looking for work or who are forced to take part-time jobs because they can't find a full-time job, it's at 9.7%. And when you add in the people who've given up looking for work for a year, you're looking at 20 million people, a 12% unemployment rate. So these are not really good numbers. And as per the 250,000 job number that we saw on Friday, if you subtract the government jobs, we're talking about 217,000 jobs. But what's important, Joy, is that not all jobs are created equal. And most of these jobs are low-paid jobs that you can't support a family on. You can't buy a house. You can't pay back your student loan on the kind of jobs that these are. Waitress jobs, bartender jobs, hotel jobs. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing that I would call a bad job. These are good jobs. They're good starter jobs. They impart the necessary skills you need to be part of the workforce, to learn how to work, how to show up on time. You can supplement an income on them, but you can't support a middle class on the kind of jobs that have been created. And now this is a long-term trend. This is not just the last month.
Let me ask you a question, because we're going to take that in 2 parts. Let's start with the last point that you made, which is on the quality of jobs. Let's say in the restaurant sector, which we're going to review just a second, the quality of jobs that are being created. But do you support raising the minimum wage, which the Democratic side supports raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, so that if you did have a job, let's say as a waitress, you could support a family, at least come closer to it on $15 an hour. Do you support raising the minimum wage?
I think the task is to create jobs that are far above minimum wage.
Wait, hold on a second.
Skilled machinists, tool and die makers, things like that.
let's just get the answer to that question. You're saying that the jobs are good jobs, they're quality jobs, but you can't support a family. Do you support raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour so that somebody who is working full-time, let's say as a waitress or in the service industries, can support their family? Do you support that?
What I'm saying, Joy, is that
but
is
do you
not
support
the
it or not?
solution.
Yes or no? Hold
it's
on,
not
I'm asking you a very simple yes or no question. Do you support raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, yes or no? Just yes or no.
This should be left up to...
Yes or no? You don't want to answer that question?
That is not the issue here.
But it's an important issue, because if you're saying those jobs are decent jobs, but you can't support a family, I'm just asking if you personally, as part of your economic philosophy, just to gauge where you are philosophically, do you think that the minimum wage for such jobs should be raised and should be $15 an hour?
See, Joy wasn't going to let him get away with that, and he didn't want to say no. He didn't want to say that he didn't support it, but he knows that the majority of people across the country support an increase in the minimum wage, and that's not probably what he gave Donald Trump for his speech tomorrow night. Now, I will say this in all fairness, Donald Trump initially said that there should be no raising of the minimum wage, and as a matter of fact, I believe he said he wanted to get rid of it. He has subsequently seen the light and said now that there should be an increase in the minimum wage at the federal level, and he also is of the opinion that the individual states should decide what their state minimum wage was, which does make some sense. So why this guy couldn't say that he supports an increase in the minimum wage, maybe not to $15 an hour, but some type of an increase in the minimum wage, especially when that's what Donald Trump is going to say today, because today's Monday, doesn't make any sense. So he's making himself look stupid here.
Mr. Trump is going to lay out his economic philosophy tomorrow in this speech.
I'll take that as a no. I'm going to take that as a no. CNBC, which has been the great skeptic of this president's economic policies, they would probably prefer more of the laissez-faire policies that you support. The latest analysis of this jobs report is that the professions where jobs were added actually looked pretty good. It said that services did dominate again, 70,000 jobs. However, not all service jobs are created equal. It said 37,000 jobs in July came from professional and technical jobs. 8,200 for computer systems, 6,500 from architectural and engineering services, 5,600 of those jobs were in management and technical consulting. Healthcare hiring increased by 43,000 jobs, bringing it to 477,000 over the last 12 months. Wall Street continued to grow jobs, adding 18,000 jobs in the last month, 162,000 jobs in the last year. Let's go and look at the part-time people who are working for economic reasons part-time. That employment grew by 97,000 jobs last month, but even that has actually fallen over the long term. It's declined from 6.3 million a year to 5.9 million a year. That's a 6.3% drop in part-time employment. And then if you go to what you call the diffusion rate, which is what percentage of employers are hiring, that is up. That has gone up. It's a solid 63.7%. Now, this is from a skeptic of President Obama's economic numbers, a guy called Jeff Cox at CNBC, who said that actually you're wrong, that the quality of jobs that were created were actually quite good, and even in manufacturing, it has been a marked improvement over the last 8 years. So how do you respond to that?
We only added 9,000 manufacturing jobs last month, and we actually lost jobs manufacturing computers. There were 0 jobs added in the information age sector, which is...
That's actually not true. I just read you the jobs from the information technology sector, which continue to grow, as did... So going back again, professional and technical jobs are
statistics.
Up. So am I. 6,500 from architectural and engineering, to 8,200 for computer systems design.
That's not, excuse me, Joy, pardon me,
yes.
Joy. That is not how the Bureau of Labor Statistics classifies information jobs.
So you're saying that what I just read you, the jobs added, which were actually taken from the BLS report, are wrong, and that those jobs which I just mentioned were not added, were not created.
Let me tell you what I say.
Okay.
I say that those jobs, just speaking to the numbers that you put out there, those are jobs in the service industries that do not, excuse me, let me finish, please. They don't add they are non-exportable. They don't do anything to reduce our trade deficit. Most of the jobs are in the service sector. I'm sure you'll agree.
They're not.
And
No,
many
I
of
don't
these,
agree.
many of these
The data doesn't agree.
architectural, engineering, these are service sector jobs.
That
These
is
are
not
business
what I
services.
just read
These
you
are
from
in.
BLS. You're saying every single job is in the, what is the
I'm not
service
saying
sector
every
job in
single job.
architecture?
I'm saying, I'm looking at BLS statistics right here. 70,000 jobs in the business and professional services, okay? Many of those jobs you laid out are in that area. Now, these do nothing to reduce our
these are
trades.
parsed.
All of the
These are
good
actually
paying
parsed down
jobs.
what they are. I just read you what the jobs are. You can't just invent that they were in the service sector when I'm telling you they were in architectural and computer systems design. What is the service function of computer systems design? That's not a service job.
Yes, it is. And
That is
it
from
can
the
be done
BLS.
by people on H-1B visas, or it can be.
All right, so he lost the argument, so now he's getting ready to jump. And let me tell you, okay, lower paying jobs in the service sector are like hotel, restaurant type jobs. When you start talking about service sector jobs in fields such as engineering, architecture, etc., those are some damn good paying jobs. If you're talking about service industry as in consulting, financial consulting, which I know a bit about, you're basically looking at a job that's going to pay you somewhere just north of $35 an hour, and depending on how big time you are, up to $100 or more per hour. Okay, so some of those service industry jobs are damn good paying jobs, and they do have some staying power. As far as when the economy improves, those financial consultant jobs, those things can be pretty decent. Sorry about that. Anyway, so as I was saying, those are some damn good paying jobs, and they can be long-term as the economy improves. All right, let me get back to the video.
Done by people in
so now we
India,
get to that
which is a
issue.
direct result of policies pursued under the Clinton administration.
So are you saying that all of these jobs that were created in computer systems design are people on H-1B visas? These are not
didn't say
American.
that. I didn't
Okay,
say
but you
that.
just, but what did you just say then? What does H-1B visas have to do with what I just told you?
Pew Research, Pew Charitable Trust does research, which shows that information area jobs are more likely to be filled by immigrants, people on H-1B visas, than other sectors.
So
many of these.
See, so he's conflating this now. Now he's saying that even though the jobs were created, Americans are not going to get those jobs. Those jobs are going to be filled by people, foreigners, who come in under the HB1 visas, which is specialized visas designed to get people to your company because you can't find people locally, which is a bunch of bullshit. But he's conflating the thing. We're talking about the job numbers, and now he's trying to conflate it to the point of saying that, yeah, well, the jobs might be there, but Americans aren't getting them. Bullshit.
Jobs are more likely to be filled by people who are non-native born Americans.
That's not what
than other
BLS measures,
sectors.
sir. But when these job creation numbers come out, they're not measuring people who are here on H-1B visas. This is measuring U.S. job creation. Very quickly, do you support the legislation that was put forward by Republicans Orrin Hatch and Marco Rubio to actually increase the number of H-1B visas? Why do you suppose leading Republicans want to expand the H-1B visa program?
Well, there are many people that want to increase immigration levels into this country, including immigrations. Donald Trump's platform is for Americanism. Put Americans first. Let's make sure Americans have jobs before we bring in people from other parts of the world to fill these jobs.
Okay, and my last question, sir, just two quick questions. Why do you suppose that in the latest polling, more people trust Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump on two issues, one on taxes, the other on trade? 54% trust Hillary Clinton more than Donald Trump on trade. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, I'd have to see how the question was worded before I could answer that question.
Who do you trust more to handle international trade agreements was the wording.
Donald Trump. I trust Donald Trump more.
Okay, but well, I'm just saying that why do you suppose 54% said Clinton and only 40% said Trump?
You'd have to ask them.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. Thank you very much, Curtis Ellis. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you. And
Don't screw with Joy when she's prepared. And this guy tried to dance around her. He thought he was going to make that work. Not going to happen. Joy Reid, when she starts talking about a subject, she is prepared. Get used to it.